I have a comment on YouTube. Presence is in the mind, and we live through our thoughts. Stop the woo-woo BS. Presence is in the mind, and we live through our thoughts. So I would suggest immediately to recognize, yes, that the mind is made of a presence. The mind is not nothing. It is substantially present, even though the mind is an appearance and is therefore temporary. It has an underlying reality or presence, which is all that is really there, all the substance that is really there to the mind, to thought, to sensation, to feeling. So if we look to that presence which underlies the mind's appearance, then we find what is truly present as the mind. If we remove all of the conditions of the appearances of the mind, the thoughts, the sensations, the feelings, and we refer only to that which is consistently present, to that which is ever present and remains present after all of the mind's activity has disappeared. We are referring to its essential reality. And that reality is not limited to the mind, just as this hand does not limit the screen is not limited to the hand. So if we look at the mind, and the way I'm using the word mind here is the objective, phenomenal content of experience, the thoughts, the sensations, the perceptions, the feelings, they are all temporary and limited. But what is truly present in them, as the substance of them, is the presence which we refer to when we say presence is in the mind. There may be a concept of presence in the mind as a thought of presence or a word presence, but the actual experience of presence precedes the mind and is the substance of the mind when the mind arises, and is the substance of reality that remains after the mind has disappeared. So what is that? What is that presence which remains after the mind has disappeared? After each of these words that are uttered here has disappeared, there remains a silence, a pause, a presence. That is not in the mind, that is not in the words. For when the words disappear, the presence remains. So what is this presence? It is obviously what we are. We are present after the mind has disappeared and in between the thoughts that constitute the mind. We are present to be aware of being present in between thoughts, during thoughts, and after all thoughts have disappeared. So what is the nature of this presence? It is aware. It is what we call myself, me, I. Can we know anything else for certain about it? Thought may have ideas about this presence, but after all thoughts have disappeared, there are no thoughts present to comment on or interpret the experience of simply being present as ourself. So no commentary or interpretation will suffice, for only our presence is experiencing itself, has access to itself. So if we only refer to this presence that precedes the mind, what do we know? We just know that we are present. I know that I am present. I am aware that I am present. And that experience of presence, as presence, by presence, is perfect sufficiency and completeness. All presence knows is presence. It doesn't know absence. It doesn't know another presence. It only knows one presence. So we live from this presence. We live through this presence. Now, we could ask ourselves, because thought may be objecting to this statement that there is only one presence, by suggesting that there are multiple presences, that there are separate presences, one presence for the cosmos, one presence for our self-awareness, one presence for the body, another presence for other people. So to this, we just ask ourselves, am I experiencing more than one presence right now? Am I aware of more than one presence? And see that any attempt to define distinct presences, this presence, that presence, the other presence, all of these movements of definition and the objects that are defined are appearing simultaneously now. If I'm saying there are 6 presences here, then the 6 are appearing simultaneously together now, which means experientially they're all connected. I'm experiencing the apparent 6 together now. In the now, the 6 are one. They are connected. So as the now, there is a unity of presence in which the mind is interpreting that there are multiple presences. So see that any multiplicity and diversity that is described by the mind does not validate duality as being fundamental, does not validate separation as being fundamental. In fact, it points to the reality that there is only one presence in which everything, everything describable, everything definable exists. There is only one presence, and it is what we refer to when we say, I, me, myself. And if 7 billion of us were to all say I at the same time, we would all be referring to and speaking from the same one presence. It is the same one presence that says, I am. You say, and we live through our thoughts. I'm not totally sure what you mean, but it's clear that we, this presence, live from ourself. There is only one presence. So there's only one presence from which we can live and through which we can live. We are the very aliveness of life, the very energy and motion that arises from this presence. They are not two. It's one substance living within itself. So we live as this presence. And if you mean that we live through our thoughts because we could consider that the entire cosmos is a kind of epic, giant thought, then in a way, yes, because manifestation is limited. And as we perceive through this limited filter, for instance, our human point of view, we live through that filter and express through that filter. For instance, now, this infinite, eternal reality that we all are is speaking through Samuel's conditioning of the body, of the mind, and of whatever else is composing this moment. So there is a living as this one presence we are, and simultaneously living through the apparent limitations of the individual expressions, the unique manifestations. So this may all seem very woo-woo if we believe that Samuel is speaking from belief, or we believe that what is being stated here cannot be directly experienced or verified. And so I would just suggest try it out for yourself. Contemplate in the directness of your experience the validity or invalidity of these words and see for yourself. And then truth will shine by itself as your own self, and it will be self-evident. So thank you.